told you to wait, to think it through, to prepare. But life never waits, and neither should you. Because the clock is not your friend, it is your challenger. And this world, this life, this one chance you have to carve your name into existence, it's slipping through your fingers whether you move or whether you freeze. So let me tell you something ancient, older than any self-help book, older than any seminar, older than your doubts. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Not a leap, not a plan, not perfection, just a single step. But most people, they never take it. They stay waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting for someone to show up and bless their feet with certainty. But Lao Tzu wasn't speaking to the comfortable. He wasn't writing for the someday crowd. He was writing for the soul that knows something has to change. And maybe, just maybe, that soul is you. Listen, it doesn't matter what your past looks like. I don't care if you failed, fallen, been broken into 100 pieces, because the mountain ahead doesn't care where you've been. It only responds to one thing: movement. When you take one honest, defiant, sacred step, you become the enemy of mediocrity. You become the student of becoming. You become someone who finally decides, I will walk through the fire if that's what it takes, but I will no longer wait for life to hand me permission. We were not born to be spectators. We were not carved out of stars and suffering just to scroll, to conform, to wait for the algorithm of destiny. No, we were born to move, to rise, to defy gravity with soul. And yes, it will hurt. It will stretch you. You will doubt every single inch of progress because the road ahead is brutal, but it is yours. That's the thing. No one can walk your road. No one can take your step. No one can carry the weight of your becoming. You are the seed. And whether you stay buried in darkness or grow into something the world never saw coming, that's on you. You see, most people confuse movement with chaos. They jump from one idea to the next, never grounded, never committed. They want success to be instant. But Lao Tzu knew better. He didn't say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a sprint. He said one step. That means slow is okay. Uncertain is okay. Fearful is okay. But stuck? That's a choice. When the Wright brothers lifted off the ground, it was clumsy. When Edison built the light bulb, it was failure after failure. When Elon Musk risked everything on rockets that exploded, people laughed. But the great ones, the souls who move history, they understand that the first step is never glorious. It's shaky, it's uncertain, it's humbling, but it's also divine. Let's talk about mindset, because the step means nothing if your mind is chained to fear. You can wear the clothes of ambition, post the quotes, read the books, but if your thoughts are still trapped in doubt, you'll never move. Your mind is not just a tool. It's the soil of your life. Plant weakness, you grow excuses. Plant power, you grow movement. Lao Tzu said, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." That's not philosophy. That's war. war with ego, war with the story that says you are just this. You're not just anything. You're possibility, wrapped in fear, waiting to break free. So what are you feeding your mind? Because belief is not some fluffy idea. Belief is a weapon. It's the hammer that breaks down your inner walls. And if you don't believe in you, no step will ever matter. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the last time you felt truly alive? Not distracted, not entertained, but raw, present, awake. That's what this step is about. It's not about getting rich. It's not about impressing others. It's about coming back to life. Because the journey is not measured in miles, it's measured in moments of courage. Moments when you say, I will no longer betray the version of me I know I'm meant to be. The world has enough noise, enough content, enough people who talk but never move. But it's starving for souls who live on purpose. So no, you don't need a full plan. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to rise 1 inch, one step. And when your feet hit the ground with purpose, you become unstoppable. That's when clarity begins to form, not before. You don't wait for the fog to clear before you walk. You walk, and the fog begins to lift. Too many people die with their genius still buried because they waited for a signal that never came. They thought they needed motivation. What they needed was movement. Because movement creates energy, action creates direction, discipline creates freedom. It's not the goal that changes your life. It's the muscle of consistency, the habit of doing hard things, the willingness to face the mirror every day and say, I will not break my promise to myself. That promise is sacred, more sacred than any dream board, more powerful than any coach or course, because when you break your promise to yourself, you teach your soul that your words mean nothing. But when you keep that promise, even when it's hard, even when no one sees it, even when it's thankless, you become dangerous. You become the kind of human who can no longer be stopped by fear because you've tasted what it means to keep moving, even when every cell in your body is begging you to quit. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation, the kind that rips you out of your old skin, not because you hate who you were, but because you refuse to stay there. This is the path of the awakened, not the loudest, not the most gifted, but the one who simply won't stop. Because there is a rhythm to transformation. You don't get to see the fruit the day you plant the seed, but if you water it, if you protect it, if you keep showing up, even when it's silent, even when it's slow, one day it grows. The problem is most people quit in the dark. They think nothing is happening because they can't see the roots. But you're not here to chase surface results. You're here to build depth, strength, unshakable trust in who you are becoming. And that doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the silence, in the lonely mornings, in the quiet battles, in the steps no one applauds, but you take them anyway. Vision is born in stillness, not in noise, not in chaos, but in the quiet moments when you dare to ask, what am I truly here to build? Not for them, not for likes, not for money, but for your soul, for the legacy your grandchildren will feel in their bones. Do you know what you stand for? Because if you don't, the world will hand you a script, and you'll wake up at 40, 50, 70, realizing you climbed the wrong mountain. That's why you need to get still and listen, because inside you there is a compass. It's not loud, but it is wise. It's not fast, but it is faithful. Lao Tzu said, "At the center of your being, you have the answer. Not outside, not in the next guru or strategy, but in you." So stop outsourcing your power. Close your eyes. Ask your heart what matters, and then move toward it, one step, one breath, one battle at a time. And yes, the world will test you. That's not a maybe. That's a guarantee. You will be judged. You will be misunderstood. You will be tempted to shrink back into the familiar. But resistance is not your enemy. It's your invitation. Because every hero you've ever admired, from Lincoln to Mandela, from Lao Tzu to Musk, was forged in resistance. They didn't beg for ease. They stepped into pressure. And pressure, when embraced, becomes power. Let's talk about resilience. The ability to keep walking even when the storm comes, even when the road breaks beneath your feet, even when everything you built falls apart. Resilience is not about how you feel. It's about who you decide to be when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when the rewards haven't shown up yet. It's about rising when logic says, stay down. It's about walking when the world expects you to crawl. It's not glamorous. It's not pretty. But it's where the real growth lives. When life breaks your plans, good, because now you get to show the universe that your spirit isn't rented, it's owned. So many people confuse failure with finality, but you're not here to win every time. You're here to evolve. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times. He didn't call them failures. He called them steps. Because 1,000 steps in the wrong direction still teach you something about grit, about awareness, about refinement. Lao Tzu understood this. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. That's not laziness, that's mastery. It means you show up with full energy, but you're not addicted to outcome. You move with fire, but you let go of control. You become the warrior who learns from the wind, who dances with uncertainty, who makes peace with the unknown, and still keeps walking. Do not let the illusion of perfection rob you of momentum. You don't need a clean start. You don't need the stars to align. You need courage. You need direction. You need a reason that is louder than your fear. So what is it? What are you building when no one believes? What are you fighting for when no one understands? What wakes you up when the excuses feel more comfortable than the truth? Because make no mistake, the excuses are seductive. They wear the mask of logic. They sound like protection, but they are the death of your potential. Every time you say not today, you're voting for a life that's smaller than your spirit. Every time you choose comfort over calling, You bury your own greatness a little deeper. But when you take the step, not the perfect step, not the flashy step, just the next one, you set fire to that old story. You reclaim your soul. Gratitude is the fuel of this journey, not because life is easy, but because it's sacred. Even the pain, even the waiting, even the detours. Gratitude says, I honor the path. I trust the timing. I don't rush the mountain. I grow through it. Lao Tzu didn't promise fame. He promised peace. But peace is not the absence of challenge. It's the presence of alignment. When your steps are in sync with your soul, the path becomes sacred, even if it's steep, even if it's slow. So what will you do? Not someday, now. The 1,000-mile journey is not waiting for your fear to leave. It's waiting for your soul to rise. Not with noise, not with approval, but with truth. One step, one step, one sacred step. Take it. The world will try to convince you to wait. Wait until you're smarter. Wait until you're richer. Wait until you're certain. But the ones who shape history, they don't wait. They decide. They decide that today is enough, that this breath, this moment, this heartbeat is the only permission they need. You see, the step isn't just forward motion, it's rebellion. Rebellion against every excuse you've ever made. Rebellion against mediocrity. Rebellion against the version of you who was taught to play it safe. Because safety doesn't build empires. Comfort doesn't write symphonies. Perfection doesn't paint masterpieces. And silence doesn't change the world. You do. With your scars, with your imperfections, with your trembling hands and your unwavering will. The road will not reward your fear. It will reward your faith. Not blind faith, but the kind of faith that's built by walking. The kind that grows with each mile, each misstep, each hard-earned inch. The faith that says, even if I fall, I will rise with more fire than before. Because resilience isn't about avoiding failure. It's about staring it in the face and saying, you will not define me. That's the difference between the average life and the legendary one. Not luck, not talent, not perfect circumstances, just the step, and the one after that, and the one after that. 1,000 miles is not conquered in a day, but it is claimed with a single decision. I will not betray the fire inside me anymore. There will be days when the sky turns dark, when the weight of the journey feels too heavy, when no one claps, when no one sees. And it's in those moments, when your knees hit the dirt, when your heart aches from the silence, that you must remember you were not born to be understood. You were born to become. Become the storm, become the clarity, become the mountain that refuses to move. Because destiny doesn't hand itself to the timid. It is forged in the fires of discipline, tempered by failure, and carried by those who walk alone long before the world decides to follow. You think you're just taking one step, but you're breaking a curse. You're ending a cycle. You're becoming the first in your bloodline to say, "It ends with me and begins with me." Because legacies aren't born in palaces, they're born in pain, in the silence between dreams and action, in the sacred space where fear and courage meet. You don't need a crowd. You don't need applause. You need truth and a willingness to follow it even when it leads you into the unknown. The journey is long, yes, but every step echoes through eternity. Every time you rise, someone else believes they can too. Every time you move, the universe moves with you. Every time you decide to live fully, you shift the entire trajectory of the world. Do not underestimate your power. Do not let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of your soul. Do not wait, because this isn't just about you. This is about every life your courage will touch, every heart your story will ignite, every soul who will one day say, "I almost gave up, but then I saw you, and I remembered what was possible." So step into your calling, step into your pain, step into your greatness. Let the world watch. Let the doubt speak. Let fear follow if it must. But you will walk. One step, then another, then 1,000. And when you arrive, you'll look back at the mountain and realize the truth. The journey never begins with the path. It begins with you. One step, one moment, one life, walk it. You've heard the call, not just from these words, but from the part of you that's been waiting to wake up. So if something stirred within you today, if a flame, even the smallest, started to burn again, don't let it fade. This is just one step, but it could be the step that changes everything. If you felt this, if you believe in becoming more, then join the journey. Subscribe to this channel, not just to watch, but to walk. We build this space for souls like you, the quiet warriors, the dreamers, the relentless few who are done waiting. This is not entertainment. This is a movement. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and never miss a step again. Because your path has just begun, and you don't have to walk it alone.